Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hope everyone's doing really well and having a good week. I just want to start off by saying that unfortunately my microphone failed during the original recording of this video, so I'm having to do a voiceover instead. But in today's video, I've got a ton of great tips for you guys today, specifically around Mod 1 and Mod 2. I've recently gone through the process myself and been very fortunate to pass both sections of the exam, if you like, passing both of them first time. So I thought I'd share some tips that really helped me out on the day. I'm not an expert or instructor. Again, I'm just someone who's recently gone through and I learned a lot along the way. So if you're sat watching this and you're getting ready for your own test, these tips are from a beginner's point of view, and I really hope that they help you guys out. Okay, so let's talk about Mod 1 first. For those of you that don't know, Mod 1 is like the off-road part of the practical motorbike test. So it's designed to assess your sort of basic bike handling skills, if you like. It includes a series of maneuvers that test your ability to control the bike in different situations. So it's all done in a controlled environment. I call it the cage. I don't know the actual terminology for it, but it's like a large car park. With cones set up ready for each sort of section of the test. So the maneuvers are things like slalom, figure of eight, emergency stop, and slow ride and U-turn, things like that. And also moving the bike, so getting off and walking with the bike at your side into another space. But for the most part, Mod 1 is just demonstrating you can handle that bike safely and confidently in tight spaces. Even though it's off-road, I will say it's still really nerve-wracking. I take my hat off to anyone that's doing the Mod 1. For me, it was more nerve-wracking than the Mod 2 because you've got to nail so many things like the timing, the balance, the bike control slowly. You mix that in with nerves and shakes and stuff like that, you've got to be on your game. But if you can do that and just stay calm and confident, then, you know, with a lot of practice, you'll be absolutely fine in your training on the day. It's just nerve-wracking. But let's go through tips that I personally found helpful when preparing for Mod 1. So my first tip would be familiarise yourself with the course. So before you even do the actual test, I think it's really important to familiarise yourself with the layout of where those cones are, what it looks like, what the map looks like. You'll get a walkthrough of each section before you begin. So the examiner will say, okay, you know, on the board, on his clipboard or whatever it's called, he'll show you what he wants you to do and you'll see it. But knowing what's coming will help reduce those nerves. So check online what that map looks like, what the course looks like. Obviously ask your instructor if you can take a look at the layout of Mod 1 ahead of time. I'm sure you'd have done it in your training. The other thing to say is many test centres do have videos or pictures of the test area. YouTube videos really helped me out as well to get a better understanding of like the distances between the cones, how much space you have. But knowing what's coming will give you way more confidence. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, I'd say, is look where you're going and not at the cones. So that's something that took me a little while to get the hang of, in my training. It's easy to focus on the cones, as you'd say, doing the slalom or figure of eight. But if you do, as your instructor will probably say, you'll end up hitting them. The bike goes where you look. So the key for me was to look where I want to go and not directly at the cones. And then the bike will follow my line of sight, if you like. So whenever you're navigating the tight areas, just keep your head up and look through the turns, and you'll find it amazing how much easier things are when you stop focusing on those cones. But again, you'd have done that in training, so just have the confidence to keep your head up and look where you want to go. Tip 3 would be practice the emergency braking without skidding. Again, this might not be for everyone. This is just what I struggled with throughout my training, was not bringing the bike to a controlled stop. So part of the emergency stop is a big one in Mod 1 in my view. It is a big part of the test. It's all about stopping the bike as quickly as possible, but without skidding or losing control. And then you don't want to stall the bike at the end either. I don't know if that's a mark or a fail if you stall, but anyway, you don't want to stall the bike at the end. So before your test, just spend time practicing emergency braking in wherever you're training. Get a feel of how hard you can squeeze that brake without slamming on the brakes. It's that controlled squeeze without locking the wheels, and especially on a larger bike, just getting used to that feel. So trying to achieve that smooth stop, if you like, using the front brake, how the rear brake interacts with it, remembering to keep your body loose, because a tense grip on the handlebars, that's what I was struggling with. A tense grip on the handlebars was throwing off my control a little bit. So that would be tip number 3. Tip number 4 then would be listen. This is a big one for me. Listen to the sound of the engine for the speed trap test. I can't remember that exact name for that part of the test, but there's like a speed trap at the end that you have to hit a certain speed. And many people fail on that part. The amount of, I saw 2 or 3 people coming back to our sort of test where we were training saying they'd failed the mod 1 just because they didn't hit the required speed. But what helped me out a lot, my instructor took me on like this quiet road with the other trainee, and we learned to listen to the engine sound when we were coming up to the speed needed. So as I said, you have to hit a certain speed as you go through the cones, but practicing beforehand, learning what gear you can be in, you know, is it screaming in gear 2 or is it, you know, mid-range gear 3? I knew how that bike sounded before I did my mod 1, before doing that speed trap. I knew what gear I had to be in and what it sounded like. And when I heard that sound in the mod 1 test, I knew I was on track and I knew I wasn't going to fail that speed trap requirement. It's a small thing, like to say, but for me, it really helped me stay on target and helped me pass first time. So just something to be aware of. Tip number 5 is the U-turn isn't as scary as you think. And boy, do I wish someone told me this before mod 1. So the U-turn is probably one of the most intimidating parts of mod 1 for a lot of people. But in reality, it's actually bigger than what you think on the day. You get a lot more space than, for me, this is my opinion, a lot more space on the day than what I thought. So in my training, it was quite tight doing the U-turn and I kept getting it wrong. And then other days I'd find it really easy. But on the day of your test, the area will likely feel a bit bigger than what you've probably practiced on. So just stay relaxed, keep your balance. Obviously you do your throttle and clutch control, get the pace right, and then don't forget to look where you want to go. But don't be afraid to take it slow and, you know, don't rush it, but just be prepared. It will be probably a little bit bigger than what you think it would be, and it's certainly not as scary as what you're probably anticipating. And then tip number 6 is don't rush. Don't rush the test. Mod 1 is about precision. It's not about speed. At the end it is, the speed trap, but otherwise it's about precision of each task that's required of you. So take your time with each maneuver. The worst thing you can do is panic and speed through it all. So just take each second, deep breaths. Every time the examiner came up to me and said, this is what I want you to do next, before I did anything, I took a few deep breaths and then here we go, we're doing the U-turn, and just focus on doing it right. Don't rush. Okay, so now we're into mod 2. Here's a few tips for mod 2 that are the things I focus on during my test, and they all really made a difference when it comes to passing mod 2 first time for me. So mod 2 is, in my opinion, I called it in my head the victory lap, because if you pass mod 1, you know you can ride a bike. Then maneuvers are quite difficult for a newbie. So if you can do mod 1 successfully, mod 2 is just the victory lap for me. Obviously, you still need to pass the test and ensure you're safe, confident. The examiner wants to see all the right things, but just relax. You know you can ride the bike, so just bring it home now. You've done the hard part. So tip number 1 for mod 2 would be stay calm and don't rush. The first thing I learned during mod 2 was that it was really important to stay calm. Now, as if you've probably seen in previous videos, I did a few mistakes in my mod 2 and I was losing my head a bit, shouting in my helmet. But if I could go back, it would be, anyone watching this now, is just stay calm. They want to see that you can handle yourself safely, whether that's in traffic or on roundabouts or at junctions. So the more relaxed you are, the better your riding will be. So take your time when turning, braking, positioning yourself. Just like with Mod 1, there's no rush. So just be smooth, confident. The examiner knows you can ride a bike because you've done Mod 1 and he wants you to pass. So just be calm as you can on the day. I know that's easier said than done. Tip number 2 for Mod 2 is always signal early and clearly. So in my opinion, clear communication of what you're about to do in Mod 2 is quite key. So if you're coming up to a junction, making that signal early and making sure your signals are clear, your shoulder checks are exaggerated, you know, when you're changing lanes or turning at junctions, it's giving drivers around you that time to react, and it makes you more predictable and shows the examiner that you are aware of other road users. So don't just wait until the last minute to signal, do it early and make sure that your intentions are obvious. So shoulder checks, you know, are moving over, looking around you, checking your mirrors. Just be confident. Tip number 3 is get your position right. So a lot of Mod 2 is about correct positioning on the road, whether it's staying in the right lane, getting the correct position at roundabouts, or keeping that safe distance from other vehicles. But positioning is critical in Mod 2. Always, in my opinion, aim to keep yourself visible to other drivers. Don't ride in their blind spots, and position yourself in a way that gives you any space and time you might need to react to like potential hazards of what other road users are about to do. Okay, tip number 4 is control your speed. So there was a guy that come back into the test centre as I was waiting. He wasn't with our sort of training school, but he failed due to being too fast in a corner and actually left the road. He didn't have an accident or a crash, but he went up on the pavement. So number 4, control your speed. In Mod 2, controlling that speed, again, is essential. So when you're approaching junctions or roundabouts, always reduce your speed beforehand. So it's that control braking, making sure you know what's coming up ahead, being prepared for, let's say, that roundabout or that junction. So aim for that speed that's appropriate at the time for them road conditions, and just be aware of speed limits. If you can prep that course or them routes beforehand, trying to understand the roads in your area, trying to get an understanding of if there's any speed limits you need to be aware of. So if schools are in at the minute, knowing when it flashes, for example, it's a 20 and not a 30, stuff like that. Being aware of them speed limits are crucial. If you're unsure, my tip would be it's better to be on the side of caution and slow down as opposed to going too quick. Tip number 5 then is stay aware and check your mirrors. We've kind of gone through it, but if you can constantly check your mirrors and show that you're aware of other road users, scanning your mirrors, trying to spot any potential hazards like vehicles approaching, that type of thing, or say someone about to cross the road. It helps you position yourself better, say in traffic, and it shows the examiner you know what's going on around you. So yeah, that would be my thing. Just stay aware and check your mirrors. Always ride defensively, always looking around for other cars, other pedestrians, and just making sure the examiner knows that you are trying to be fully aware of what's going on around you and be safe. Okay, and that concludes my tips for Mod 1 and Mod 2, guys. I hope you found the tips somewhat helpful and that they come in handy when you're about to take your Mod 1 and Mod 2. Good luck with it all. If you do have a test coming up, let me know in the comments if you do. I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, this is the main reason why I started this channel, is to help beginner riders like you guys going through the process of what I've just gone through. So I know exactly how you feel. I know the types of videos you'll be watching, trying to get as much tips as you can. But I really hope that today's video helped you somewhat. If you do like this sort of content and want to see more tips and tricks and follow along my journey as a beginner rider, then please consider subscribing. It'd be great. And yeah, until next time, ride safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.